Hi, I'm Day. Welcome back to my channel. I'm an energy reader who likes to channel updates on the current astrological energies every new and full moon. If you think that you'd be interested in that, I'd love if you subscribe, like the video so it gets out there to more people, and continue to go on this path with me, because I know that it can be very challenging and a lot of ups and downs on this healing journey, evolutionary path, ascension path, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of spirituality you want to label with it. We are all at a point of evolution, and you can see it in the planets and the stars that they are pushing us down this road, whether we like it or not. So, how can we guide it? How can we understand these energies and how they combined and how combustible they are, but they also can be used for creation? And I think that that is what the term magic has been all about. So welcome to the Philadelphia School of Bird Law. And let's talk a little bit about the astrology right now. The Aries full super moon. This is 4 super moons in a row that we've had since the summer. Everybody was talking about the blue moon in August, and that was like a really, really transformational time for everyone. But it was actually just preparing us for now, for what is to come. So it may sound pretty daunting, but it actually is all for our highest good. So I invite you to sit down, grab a notebook, get a sip of water, and just lay back and connect to that peace within while I explain a little bit about these energies. So, Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. New beginnings was just at the bottom of this deck. And I believe that we are in a greater new beginning that is seen by a lot of small new beginnings everywhere. So Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, is a sign of fire. It's called a cardinal sign, which has to do, in terms of astrology, the first creation sign of every element. And the fire sign, being Aries, has a will inside of it. But every astrological sign is just a view of all of the energies that encompass us all, and we all have different mixtures of this. So we all have this fire inside to create, to feel seen as our full, truest expression. But there also is the shadow side of just pushing forward and thinking or acting before thinking. Now, each astrological sign is balanced by its sister sign. So we are having an Aries full moon in the season of Libra. And that is because the moon is illuminated fully when it is at the opposite axis of where the sun is. So there is a lot of balance that comes in with Libra. And Aries and Libra cannot exist without one another. Which brings me to the fact that the north and south node of the moon now, the north node is in Aries and the south node is in Libra. And this shows the greater evolutionary change of humanity as a whole. Now, you can see how this specifically affects you by looking at your own astrological birth chart and seeing where the north node is. It looks like a little horseshoe, an upside down, and then the upside down horseshoe is going to look like the south node. I always remember that because the north one kind of looks like an N to me a little bit. So you can look at that on your birth chart, and that is going to show you the points in your own chart of your evolutionary axis. Now, each axis in a birth chart is just two astrological signs. So this is why it's so important that we learn to understand our own birth charts so that we can see what is going on with everything. If you'd like a video on how to do that more, comment down below and I'd be happy to do it. So what is happening right now and how can I know how it really affects me and how it's affecting my life? Well, in the greater human evolutionary change, we are seeing how there is a change in our relationships. There's a change in the way we view ourselves. Everybody is now becoming more conscious of all of these negative patterns in relationships and in business and really just the way that we relate with one another. So the way that you're seeing that come up is the fact that the Aries and Libra axis really has to do with how we relate to ourselves as an individual, how we self-express, and also how we relate to another, how we balance that with our interactions with others. What is happening with these eclipses that is coming up in the next season is going to bring a great change in our relationships everywhere in our lives. But what is happening right now is that we have this big super full moon in Aries, which is just 1 degree away from being an eclipse. So that's why I keep mentioning this upcoming eclipse season, because really this is something that is giving us a chance to illuminate the aspects of our lives that we do want to change and maybe that we want to invest more into. Now, this comes from our inner sovereignty. Every full moon, every time the moon is in a certain sign, it gives us a chance to connect to that sign. The moon represents our emotional body. And being a super full moon just means it is super close to the earth. So it's kind of impossible for us to ignore our inner emotional worlds anymore. That is what is happening on a greater scale when you talk about going into the greater evolution of the age of Aquarius. And it's something that we're going to continue to see over the next few years. Now, what is happening with this full moon is a lot of big energies are involved. If you want to get a little bit into where some of the planets are, when you have this cross, this axis of the cardinal signs, you have Aries and Libra, Cancer and Capricorn. Right now we have Pluto in Capricorn, which is squaring, it's connecting to these planets in a very, very agitated way that allows for transformation to occur. So with that, we really can't look away anymore. So you have all of these deep, dark underworld of thoughts and feelings of a whole society who has felt like they have to put away their inner sovereignty to be a certain way for the whole, to balance. And then you also have a lot of people who have taken that balance and then the only way to move forward is to disregard everybody else and barge in or just drive forward in a pig-headed way. And you see how like these imbalances in our society as a whole are making people really agitated. Aries is like a sign that wants to release its anger, and you have and right now you have the sun in Libra, where also the south node axis of the moon is, and also Mars is. And then you have this north node in Aries, where we're also having this super full moon, and that also happens to be where Chiron, this like wounded part of ourselves that we need to heal, is. And So we have so much intense energies that it feels like we're all in a pressure cooker. And all the things that are coming up for evaluation in our lives are our relationships, our businesses, how we make money, and how we decide how we spend it in the world, like, how we vote with it. And how and what we connect to and what we believe in and what we want to support. And how we connect to people and how we know what we deserve to be given, and also like how do we like to have reciprocity in relationships. So a lot of the stuff that is coming up is going to mirror where you were in March of 2023, because that was where Aries season started and we had that Libra full moon. So you can always kind of see that every 6 months we get to a place where we need to see how that they balance each other out. Now, this is why the eclipse seasons are so important, because every year or two, we have the nodes of the moon, the axis of the moon, or the signs that they are in, switch signs. They, it's evolving, it's revolving, and we are evolving. And these points show our greater evolution. In astrology, it's our north and south node is known as Rahu and Ketu, and it's this that's what it's referred to in Vedic astrology, and those points are extremely important in showing our destiny and showing past and future lives, if you believe in that. And it really is talking about the energies that we came in with and that we mastered, and the energies that we are looking to connect to in the future. But it is not just about like, oh, I mastered my south node and now I don't need to work on it. It actually is that we have, whatever is connected to our south node is we have been fully steeped in that astrological identity, in that archetype, in all of the energies that come with it. So the light and the shadow. And the whole point is that the way that we balance it out is not by just diving into the opposite energy, because we will be confronted with both the light and the shadow there as well. But it is about the fact that we can balance each other out. And by looking with our shadow, looking at our shadow and walking with our shadow every day, it no longer becomes a scary thing. The deep, dark forest that everyone has been afraid of no longer becomes something to fear. The dark is something we know well, because it is a part of us that we can embrace with unconditional love as well. And that is a big part of stepping forward as our own sovereign creator selves. The way to fully feel the balance of the reciprocity from the outside world is to give that to ourselves. And that comes from unbridled self-belief. But that self-belief can only truly occur when we have gone into the underworld of our own minds, when we have connected to our true center. When we understand what drives us forward, because we can only grow as in a mirror image of what our roots are. And I'm not saying the roots that you grew up in is the roots that you will always have. I'm telling you that you create your root system. I'm telling you that no matter what, no matter where you've been, you can reform. You can reform that root system. And that is how the branches will grow. If we're going to continue on with that metaphor. So what we're being presented with here is a chance to really look at and reevaluate all the areas of our lives. And if something is not fulfilling you, if something is not making you happy, then you don't need to continue to put that energy into it because you think you should. There are always ways to harness our own energy for ourselves, even within systems where that energy is being used for another. We can change it. By your intention to do so, you will break yourself free. You will take yourself out of wherever it is that you want to leave. By your intention to do so, by your belief in yourself, that your world can change. And that's the great secret, that we are so powerful that we can do this. But it does take a self-belief. And that just has to do with learning to love ourselves in a way that we truly deserve, even if we haven't been shown that. Learning to give to ourselves. Because if you are on the scale of being the giver, I bet that love you give is so beautiful and nourishing. And I'm here to say that giving it to yourself first is what will nourish you. Because whenever we connect with somebody, there are 2 cups, right? We have 2 cups and we exchange these 2 cups. But if my cup is telling myself wonderful self-love affirmations, even if I'm feeling really depressed and, I'm really sad, but then I decide to just try to be nice to myself and just try to feel better. If I'm connecting with, if I'm giving that cup to somebody and they give me a cup that's been just completely full of pessimism and doubt and self-hate, then how is that an equal exchange? So I think that we really need to understand that we don't have to limit our interactions, but we can be more sovereign in our energy exchange, right? We can decide that our energy is a battery for ourselves. And I think that's very important moving forward, because with everything that happens, we can only ever find this true piece of knowing in ourselves. Nobody else can guarantee that it's going to be okay. We can guarantee that it's going to be okay with our own connection. And that's why I think finding some sort of source within is just so important. And it really is going to help through everything that we are going through. I just want to pull one card here. And we've got freedom. The birds are singing. The birds want to be heard today. Very fitting, because we are in Libra season, and an air sign, the sign of balance. So a couple things to connect to and ask yourself during this super full moon is, how can I balance the things in my life so that they align with my inner drive and my desires? Because I know I deserve that, right? You know you deserve it, right? Thank you for being here. Like the video if you liked it. That'd be great to help it get out there. Let me know if you'd like an energy reading. You can check the link below. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.